it started as a celebration of artists who weren't like hoity-toity mainstream enough to make it to the other like primary festival that happened after the war. So they created the Fringe Festival, which was more of the alt different performers. And it just became a tradition that has stayed.
These places are pressure cookers in the best way, right? Pressure makes diamonds. Being around the highest quality in the world makes you better.
And for the first time in my life, I felt like I understood like that group of people who's obsessed with Burning Man. You know, people who like go and they're like, those are my people in the desert and like, this is my community. And I was like, this is my community.
Hi, I'm Liz Coyne.
I'm Max Davidson.
I'm Kristina Libby.
I'm Brendon Lemon.
And you're entering
A World Gone Good.
A World Gone Good.
A World Gone Good.
A World Gone Good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. Hey, have you pre-ordered my fourth novel in my dog-walking detectives mystery series yet? Cupid's Curse takes us back to Diamond Glen, the 55-plus community where a new, potentially mob-affiliated neighbor has moved in, a boat has gotten landlocked in a driveway, and it's causing just as much trouble as a mystery woman named Gwyneth, and oh yeah, our main character Sam, her ex's son, got pushed off a building, and guess what? She's the prime suspect. Doesn't this all sound like a fun, cozy summer read? Cupid's Curse is available for pre-order on Barnes & Noble and Kobo websites. The ebook is just $3.99, and yes, there's also a paperback version if you prefer such a thing. Support this here self-published author by grabbing your copy, and for doing so, as always, I say thank you. Okay, today we are talking about creative freedom. More specifically, the Edinburgh, it's a hard word to say, Festival Fringe, where over 3,800 individual shows, yes, 3,800 of them, will take place over the month of August in what is billed as a global arts celebration. This is the world's largest arts festival, running 25 days. Last year, the Fringe, as the locals call it, the Fringe featured, you ready for this? 53,942 performances over 301 venues with participants from 68 countries, which all equates to 2.6 million ticket sales. Holy crap, right? Now, you know I love my theater. I love going to shows and producing my own show, including a slideshow on July 12th at the Etc. Theater here in London. Get your tickets to the link on our website, like how I got my own plug in there. And I especially love people who are as passionate about theater and the community theater creates as I am, which is why over the next 3 episodes, starting with this one, it is going to be all about theater, specifically the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. What does it take to get a spot? How difficult is it to perform every single day for a full month? And who in their right mind would even dare to attempt such a thing? Well, today we're going to meet 4 of the attempters, 4 theater makers, including 2 one-person show creators, a stand-up comedian, storyteller, and even a magician, because good theater really is magic. It's time to take your seats, my good people. The house lights are already dimming because the show is about to begin. What was the first theater you remember seeing as a kid? Oh, man. I think it was probably Charlotte's Web.
My very first ever favorite musical was Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I don't know if I remember the first show. I definitely remember the first trick.
The very first thing I remember seeing was probably a play I was in. I was in a performance of Jack and the Beanstalk.
I think it was like our preschool, which also happened to be in the church that I went to. And then they got up and did, Charlotte's Web. I don't think I fully understood what was going on at 4 years old.
I think I was like, I don't get, hold on a second, because there was one actor who played like, 3 different characters, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the same guy. Like, I don't think I fully understood what I was watching.
Oh my gosh. I was so little, and we would actually go to the public library to rent movies, and we would rent the VHS of the Donny Osmond movie version. And I would watch it over and over again. And I'd rewind it. And my sister would say, Mom, please don't buy it for her, because I just watched it too many times in a row. And I loved it. And I couldn't say Joseph. I was too little. So I called it Jophus. And that was my favorite movie, and is still one of my favorite movies of all time. I can say every single line to that musical, hands down, not thinking about it.
The first trick I saw, I was 6 years old. I went to this store in Denver, Colorado, which is where I grew up with my grandmother. And the trick is called sponge balls. You can still get it now. It's a great beginner magic trick, where the magician puts one basically clown nose looking thing in their hand, one of them in my hand. After, saying the magic words, they both appeared in my hand. And it's this very cool visual and tactile trick that really got me into magic. And then I kind of loved it as a hobby for the next couple of years. I'm sure I saw probably like a birthday party magician or something, but I very much remember this one time with my grandmother when I was 6, seeing that first trick.
I played the chicken that laid the golden egg. And I got up on stage, my little 6-year-old self, and I forgot all of my lines. And I have this like terrible memory of being a 6-year-old kid on stage in my like beautiful chicken costume that my mom and my godmother had like slaved over making, and just being like, "Wah, wah." And I had no idea what came next. And I remember the director trying to yell the lines at me, and it was like I couldn't hear her. And I just looked out the sea of what felt like 10,000 people, but it was community theater, and I was 6, so it was probably like 80 people, and being mortified. And that's my first memory of the theater.
The good news is that was a one-time experience for Kristina Libby, here now to share her journey.
Okay, so I went last year as just an audience member because I had been working on a solo show, and I wanted to see, like, is my show terrible? Does it like meet the bar of what the rest of the world is doing? Like, am I going to fit in? And so I went, I spent 5 days. I went to 37 shows, and I loved it. I like loved it. I like cried so many times. I laughed so many times. I felt like people were just handing me the wisdom of like how to be a human. And I really focused on solo shows. I went to some comedy shows, but like mostly solo shows. And I was just like, A, I'm in love with this form factor. B, I'm in love with this place. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I understood like that group of people who's obsessed with Burning Man. People who like go and they're like, those are my people in the desert, and like, this is my community. And I was like, this is my community. Like, these people Fringe in Edinburgh. This is who I want to be with.
Yeah, I love that because you found your people.
Yeah, I was just like, I loved it. And I felt so touched. Like, I felt like it was an experience that really made me more human. There's such a gift that happens there because you can get so much theater, and you can really understand the way in which theater is wisdom share, right? It's like people's hard-earned stories that they're telling you, so you don't have to live through that same experience. And like, to be a recipient of that gift over and over and over again in such a short time at such an affordable price is like, that makes you a better person. I should do ads for Fringe. Okay.
Yeah, it's so important though to be seen, isn't it? No matter who's listening right now, is like there's a validation there. There's a feeling of, I do fit in
Right.
by not fitting in.
And also the privilege of being an audience member. That is something I really learned at Fringe because, right, sometimes a show might just have 5 or 6 people in it. And like, how important it is also to like sit in a theater and receive the wisdom that someone is trying to give you. Like on both parts, it's nice to be seen, but it's nice to also see other people and like absorb the gift that they're trying to give.
And it's inspiring because it inspired you and it put a, like,
Mhm.
right? It gave you a fire, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, my early chicken performance gave me the fire.
Sure, of
This is
course.
just like
It always comes back to that. I just
back to
love
the
it.
chicken.
I love it. Well, you just need to take that to, if you haven't taken it to your therapist yet, take it to your therapist.
I don't think I've ever described it to my therapist. I'm coming for you, Gabby. Next time we're going to talk about the chickens.
Your show is called I Almost Died for This? Question mark. See how I went up on the this? Tell us about the show. Tell us about the title. Where'd the title come from?
Yeah, so the original title was Holy Shit, I Almost Died for This. And we've called back the holy shit to make it a little bit more palatable for print and everything. But there was a moment in my life that happens sort of about 90% of the way, 95% of the way through the show, where I finally understand what is happening. And I was just like, holy shit, like I almost died for this. This is the thing. And I'm so sort of shocked and outraged by how much I didn't understand contextually about the way I had been living my life and who I was and what I believed in and how much those stories impacted my life that I did almost die. I grew up being a woman who was raised on Disney and rom-coms and Cosmo magazine and really wanted to be someone who was like a very good girl, like a peak good girl. Like, you tell me all of these things and I'm going to do it because I believed that if I was great, that I would, find the love of my life, have the happily ever after, and finally get to be free to be myself. That was sort of the pathway through the entirety of my identity. And I end up meeting this man who I think is my soulmate. And I'm not going to ruin it for you, but something happens and that doesn't go as planned. And I end up being so upset that I go kite surfing and I'm just so in my head about what a failure and how could I possibly meet a soulmate and then lose them? Like, what kind of terrible failure as a human does that? That I end up falling while kite surfing about 30 feet onto my head, right near the Brooklyn Belt Parkway, which is this huge highway. And I make this decision: am I going to highway kill a bunch of people? Am I going to make it over the highway? Maybe, or am I just going to release my kite? We are all trying so hard to be the story we are told, and we don't need to be. We are all enough. I can't believe I almost died because I believed a bunch of stories that weren't ever really made for me.
There's a connection there, don't you think, when you're on stage and you can feel the energy coming back from an audience that is really feeling what you're saying because they're relating to it so much?
Yeah, I was so nervous to do this show because it is so, it's autobiographical to a T, and just like maybe no one would understand or empathize or connect. And I
Or
have
judge
been,
you, or judge you
oh,
for
yeah.
it.
Oh, let's talk about that. Yeah,
Right, because you're
a
judging
lot of
yourself.
judginess because I'm judging myself. And the response I have gotten from audiences is it has made it so worth it to share my deep, dark flaws and failures because it has resonated so deeply. I've had many people be like, I had a lot of disembodied moments while watching because it was so real to me. I connected so much. I have had people go on and change things in their life since seeing the show because they really saw themselves reflected in a way that they hadn't been quite able to contemplate before. And I've also had some judgment, like the whole soulmate story, that whole incident was like a one weekend long. And there were these two young women who came who were like maybe like 25 years old. And they told their instructor, Patrick Lillis, who's my director, they said, that woman is really accomplished. And she wrote a whole solo show about a man she spent 4 days with. Like, that's crazy. But also, they said, but we can totally relate,
Of
in the way that you
course.
could have those relationships that just like flip your whole world upside down. They can be so short, they can be long, but they can really force you to sort of confront everything you believe to be true. And then you can either keep believing the rumor, you can believe that you're a victim, you can believe that this is the worst thing that's ever happened, or you can almost die. And then you can go and try and figure out why it happened and change your life and then write a solo show and then bring it to Fringe and then, normal story.
Where do people find you and where are they going to find you at the Fringe? Plug away.
Okay. You can find me online, KristinaLibby.com. Fringe, I'm at the Space UK, 2 different times. Like 2 different event times. For the first 2 weeks, I'm at 11:20. And the last week, my show is at 6:30. So if you're a, morning person, you can catch it. Or if you're an evening person, you can catch it.
As you heard earlier, Max Davidson fell in love with magic at a young age, and he's been casting his spells ever since.
I think that when you see a magic show that's good, things are very tangibly happening and they're generally very surprising and joyful. When you read someone's mind, it can be so unexpected for them in such a positive way that I think it can really give them a great experience. Like most of our lives are fairly predictable, right? We go to work, we do our 9 to 5, we kind of know what's going to happen. And magic can really take people out of that in a really joyous way. I think we've all been to like a bad comedy show or even a bad magic show where you're like, nothing has happened. But like when great magic is going on, like something tangibly is taking place. Decisions are being made or someone's mind is being read. That's genuinely impactful for people. And you leave the room being like, wow, things are different than how it was when I came in. You can see an amazing Broadway show, and obviously that has its own benefits, of course. But when you see a magic show, you know that you specifically took part in it. And I think that's really powerful.
There's a surprise factor, right? And there's a childlike, getting back to the magic of yesteryear factor that has to go into this as well.
Totally.
In what exactly you're talking about.
The surprise is key. I think people forget how rarely they experience surprise. I know so many people who say, oh, I don't like surprises. And what they really mean is they don't like bad surprises. Good surprises are some of the most satisfying things in the world. And magic shows really do deliver that.
Now, your show is called Strangers, and you bill it as an interactive mentalism show. So let's talk about what that means.
Yeah. So mentalism is sort of a branch of magic that really deals with what is the audience thinking. So traditional magic might be like the sponge ball trick that I was showing you. That might be physical manipulation on the magician's end, more sleight of hand based. The show that I'm doing is much more based on what's going on in the audience's heads. So it's a lot of mind reading, it's memory stunt. And then as far as the interactive part goes, it's really important to me, kind of like I was saying, that the audience really does have a legitimate impact on the way it goes. That when people leave the show, they're like, you know what? It could be the same trick tomorrow, but it certainly won't be the same information because I was the one who provided the info about like the city that I traveled to or the name of the friend that I was thinking of or whatever it might be that night.
Yeah, and without giving anything away, you're picking up on social clues, you're picking up physical clues, you're reading minds. How does it, again, don't give it away.
Yeah, so basically, as far as the answer of like, oh, am I reading minds or not, magicians struggle of, okay, how much are we going to reveal? How do we define what we do? And every magician does define it differently. For me, I always say there's genuinely a lot of psychology going on. That's absolutely real. But there's also a lot of memory work, and there is sleight of hand, and there are traditional magic and illusion techniques that are all blended to create the illusion that I'm reading minds. So I would never meet someone on the street or in real life or at a dinner party and say like, hey, yep, I can always read your mind. I can't. I say when I go out into the real world, I'm just as normal as everybody else. But it is absolutely my job on stage to make it look like I'm reading minds pretty much perfectly. And that's the illusion that I'm trying to create. So I'm okay with people not thinking that I'm a savant or that I have magic powers. I don't. I really am a normal person with normal skills. But I've practiced of how to do this on stage, and hopefully on stage it gives people a pretty incredible experience.
I love that you think that you go outside and there's other normal people. But anyway, let's move on.
No, I'm one of you. I'm one of the normal people. Trust me.
None of us. I always say there's no the word normal is so overrated. It's I prefer healthy and unhealthy. That's how I look at life. But
valid.
But it's very interesting though, isn't it? Because You want to give an experience, but at the same time, it's such a fine line between those people who are like, is this guy a con? Because I've talked to other people so far, and, some of these recordings we're doing for this whole specific, set of shows we're doing about Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You want to give people an experience, right? And most people go into an audience wanting to have a good experience. We go to a Broadway show, we want to see a good Broadway show, right? We don't want to see a crappy one. We go to a comedy, we want to see good comedy. We go to magic, we want to see good magic. But you have that handful of assholes out there who want to prove you wrong. And so my question to you is, how do you handle that person? Do you magnetize toward that person? Is that a challenge for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. You do get the people who want to prove me wrong. It's more rare in shows where people are like buying a ticket to see me. If I go do like a corporate event or a private event where people didn't necessarily know I was there, that's a different story. But for a ticketed show where everyone, for the most part, has consented to going and has bought a ticket to go, I see that less and less. The other thing is, I'm not a confrontational person at all, and I think the audience can see that pretty much immediately. I'm there for them, right? You're right. You want to go see a good show. I acknowledge that. I have no interest in wasting people's time. I'm so allergic to a performer who goes on stage and has no self-awareness of what the audience is thinking. Like, I really want to make sure that the audience is getting their time and their money, their time and money's worth, right? That is worthwhile for them. So I don't see a ton of challengers. I also will be vulnerable on stage. So I think some magicians kind of present it as a challenge. I really don't. Like, I view the magic as a gift to them, right? Like, there's a great magician in the UK named Darren Brown, and he always says, like, hey, you can't have more fun than your audience, right? The performer who's standing on stage being like, thank you guys so much. It's such a blast for me. It's like, no. The magician is the one working and the audience is the one at leisure, right? So I'm working for them. And so I really do believe that, like, I'm in service to my audience. And I think because of that, I don't get too many people challenging me because they see that I really do want them to have a good time.
I always laugh at that, when somebody finishes a set of anything and they're like, thanks for being such a great crowd. And I'm like, what did they really do? They just you did the work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you thanking them?
Yeah.
But,
and it's not their job to placate you. It's your job to satisfy
Right.
them, right? You're the one who's working. You're the one at work.
Because it's about entertainment.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Now, you also, because you bill yourself as part-time mind reader, part-time storyteller. But I want to ask you about the storytelling aspect. How does that formulate into your show?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, whenever you leave a show by a specific performer, you want to know that show only could have been done by them, right? And so I have stories in the show that are about me and then ultimately about the audience. And I think it brings people in on a deeper level. Like, yes, we can see magic tricks, but I also have stories of me going to dating events. I have stories about me running marathons in the show. I have stories about my sister, my twin sister. And all of these things, I think, seek to humanize me and make me more vulnerable and relate to the audience. And that way people, maybe they are sort of a magic skeptic, but they can think to themselves, oh, I also have a twin. Oh, I also had this dating situation. Oh, I've also gone for a run or done something challenging. And it all ties together. So for me, it just serves to make it a more holistic experience and make sure that the show is as unique as possible.
So, of course, you have a twin, so we got to go into that aspect of everything.
Yeah.
Do you and your twin have psychic abilities where you guys can feel each other? Like, she feels sad and you call her and go, why are you sad? I feel sad.
It's so funny. I don't think we have twin telepathy. We're definitely really close, but I actually talk about that in the show, which is pretty funny. And I have a trick that happens sort of based on that. But no, the short answer is I don't think we have twin telepathy.
Moving on. Edinburgh. This is a question I'm asking everybody. And everyone has a different answer. Why Edinburgh? Why is it the creme de la creme? What is it for you?
I think of it the same way I sort of think of New York, because these places are pressure cookers in the best way, right? Pressure makes diamonds. Being around the highest quality in the world makes you better, right? Being around the highest quality in New York makes me a better magician. Going to Edinburgh and being around the best fringe shows on the planet makes my show better, makes me a better magician, makes me a better person. That's the reason that I'm doing it. It was like, I want to be great at what I do. And I think the best way to do that is to surround yourself with other people who are so much better than you are, And it's like, okay, if I can compete at Edinburgh, if I can compete in New York City and make my living here, then I truly can do it anywhere. It's unbelievably cliche, but after living in New York, it is 100% true. And so for me, it's just a place where I can go and make myself better. And there's such a joy to doing 23 consecutive shows and meeting your audience. And you really improve so much, but you also have fun. Again, you're in service to the audience, and the audience is there because they want to see a bunch of quality at the exact same time. And if I can be a part of that, I absolutely will.
Where do people find you? How do they follow you? Plug away.
The only social media I do is Instagram, Max Davidson Magic. And then all of my tickets are on my website, which is maxdavidsonmagic.com. Those two channels have everything you need.
Next up, we find Liz Coyne, who I myself not only got to see her one-person show here in London, but got to be in her one-person show here in London. Yes, you heard me correctly. I, of course, got pulled up on stage. I pretty much nailed it, if I do say so myself. Here's Liz bringing her sunshine. Hello, Liz Coyne.
Hello.
You have a very impressive little resume here, my friend. You've been on U.S. tour, U.S. tour. You've been in New York. Listen to me. You've been in New York. You are in New York and in Edinburgh. Let me ask you, have you been in Edinburgh before, or this upcoming one is your first time?
So I actually went for the very first time last summer. I went for about a week and a half, and I did a work in progress version of my show, Lizzie Sunshine. And it was my very first time going to Scotland. It was awesome. I'm obsessed, and I can't wait to go back this year. I'm going for the whole month. I was invited by my venue to come back. So that was a huge feather in my cap.
That's really cool. So for anyone who doesn't know, Edinburgh, we hear about it. Some of us call it Edinburgh, because it's GH at the end of it. Why is it that shining theatrical mountain that so many performers want to get and reach?
It started as a celebration of artists who weren't like hoity-toity mainstream enough to make it to the other like primary festival that happened after the war. So they created the Fringe Festival, which was more of the alt different performers. And it just became a tradition that has stayed. And Fringe is now a little bit more, kind of mainstream, but it used to just be a hub for artists where every day for a whole month they would be doing these shows, spreading the word and getting reps, like just to make their shows better, like just doing it a bunch of times for different audiences. And it's where you can go to see just like the cutting edge of theater. It's really its own world. And now, as it's become more and more famous, more popular, it is the third most ticketed event in the world. As an artist, like personally, it's just a huge way to showcase yourself. So like my show is a showcase of me, and it's where I want my career to start. So that's where managers or producers, people who would invest in you as the artist in your career, are actively at the Fringe searching for the next big thing. It's their job to go and see what's out there and see what's next for theater. So that's why I want to go, because I want to be what's next for theater.
Now, in Lizzie Sunshine, you do a lot of work with an audience. And I got to ask you, is that thrilling? Is it terrifying? Does it keep it fresh for you?
Oh, it's the best part of the whole freaking show. I love it. The audience interaction is like everything to me. It's what I find to be the easiest part of the show. I have a much easier time doing improv, being a clown, interacting live, being on my toes with the audience than doing prepared, memorized material. Not that I can't, but it's just where I have the most fun is playing with the audience. So I actually look forward to those parts in the show a lot, which I know makes me sound like an absolute lunatic because it's most people's worst nightmare to have to talk to strangers and say something funny on the spot. But for some reason, my personal brand of weird is exactly that.
Okay, so for anybody listening right now, I want you to give us a pitch. Give us the in my day, we called it the TV guide. What TV guide would tell you is the 2-line, what's happening this week in this episode. But this is the pitch. Tell us what Lizzie Sunshine is. Tell us who she is, and tell her why, where the idea came from.
Lizzie Sunshine is a 2-person show. It's me and my co-star, Jamie Storm. But at the beginning of the show, Jamie Storm is running a little bit late, and the show has to start without him. So Lizzie Sunshine covers until he arrives. So it is a 2-person show where she has to use the audience to cover and stall for her missing show partner.
And where did this idea come from?
It actually it's a bit of a metaphor. It comes from me being this kind of showman performer character. Lizzie Sunshine is a part of me. We're all made up of parts, and it's a showman, like, everyone, let's have fun. Look at me, part of me that was kind of born out of being the little sister of an addict. I have lived close to addiction in my life, and I think a lot of people I know who've lived close to addiction also feel that they've become a cheerleader for the addicts in their life. Like, you can do it, you can get through this, and, keeping the spirits high in the family system. And so Lizzie Sunshine, the show, is a metaphor for what it feels like to love someone with addiction when you don't know if they're going to show up or not, but you want to keep the show going and keep the positivity alive.
That's so powerful because I was always like the good kid. I'll be the good kid. I'll be the good kid.
Yep.
And then I woke up one day and I'm like, why am I being the fucking good kid all the time?
It's just your brain trying to keep you safe or trying to like stop your home environment from being chaotic. Because when you're a kid, you think that you can control everything around you. So you're like, oh, well, it's chaotic over there. If I am just smooth sailing, clear water, no problem at all, high achieving, then it'll make everyone else around me happy. And then everything will be okay. And I can fix this. I think a lot of people have experience with that, even if it's not addiction, like just something wrong in the family system that makes you want to just be perfect.
Right.
I'm no expert to like family system archetypes, but there is a lot of writing done and research done about the different roles that siblings and children can play, like the fixer or the clown or the cheerleader or whatever it is. And I think Lizzie Sunshine it's a comedy show, 1,000%, but it is a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, of kind of showing you what it's like to keep that role permanently and not ever let the mask come down.
And I think it's so important in theater, in performing, to play something that that has authenticity to it through a character, even if it's a character that you're taking on in a show that's, Romeo and Juliet. There's feelings there, there's emotions there. And when you can emulate them, when you can shine through them, when you can perform them in a way that speaks to an audience, there's that connection thing. So I think that's a very powerful thing.
Oh, thanks. I agree. I mean, honestly, it's not like I sat down and I thought, oh, what would be the best topic to think of and write about. This story is just very true of my life. And in my journey of believing I'm an artist and nurturing my inner artist, and I did the artist way, all of these things, Lizzie Sunshine was just a character that emerged. And then I kept working on it and kept trying these different bits. And slowly but surely I chiseled this piece out of the big unknown ice block until finally now I have this statue, and it kind of revealed itself to me. And in doing so, healed a lot of what I didn't even know necessarily about myself. Like, if you had asked me 2 years ago when I first started doing Lizzie Sunshine, what it was about, I would have said, it's just a really funny comedy show about positivity and how good I am at making people have fun and making people like me. And it's like, this is my real life. I didn't just come up with addiction because it was a hot button issue. I picked something that is of me and of my lived experience. It's, I can't remove it from my truth.
Where do people find you? How do they follow you? And plug away again which location you will be at Edinburgh.
Yeah. You can follow me at Liz Coyne all over social media. I'm posting all the time. And then when I do get to the Edinburgh Fringe, I'll be there from August 5th through 31st at the Gilded Balloon Patter House venue.
Our final performer, literally, for today is Brendon Lemon. And with a name like that, you're pretty much destined for the spotlight. Am I right?
I don't self-identify as a theater kid. I was never a shy kid. It's funny because I started doing acting when I was a little kid in church productions. We had different skits that our church would put on, or different you know, like we're going to do like a whole play or something. And I would like a pageant, you know what I mean? Like you'd have like a church pageant that would go on around Christmas or whatever. And I would be different. I'd want to be in it. Like I just had a need, I think, to want to be seen in, and there was something about watching people up on the stage where I was like, oh, I want to do that. I more identify as a stand-up comic. I had two uncles who were stand-up comedians. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Like, I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Your whole job is to just get on stage and make people laugh? Like, that's it? Like, that's the whole job? Why is anybody, you know, being a lawyer or driving a truck or like anything? Like, it just seems like laughing is the greatest thing ever. Why not just do that? So I was from very young. I was like 5 or 6 years old, not long after I saw that blockbuster production of Charlotte's Web, that I was like, I'm going to be a stand-up comic. And so literally like adults would ask you like, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I'd be like, a stand-up comedian at like 6 years old.
Was it more jokes and stuff, or was it more storytelling for you? And has it been a mix of both?
I'm going to be totally honest and just blow my own cover here on the podcast.
I love this. It's getting real.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a very good joke writer. Like, I don't have a strong opinion of my joke writing ability. But I don't know. So other people have told me they're like I'll self-deprecate like that, and other comedians are like, "What are you talking about, dude? Like you write good jokes." But I don't. I just personally don't. I don't think my brain doesn't think in terms of jokes a lot. Like, it takes a lot of effort for me to really crank down and be like, what is this? What is the joke here, and how is it going to work? The thing that I do well, I think, is storytell. I have a dad who's a real natural storyteller. His stepbrother was a stand-up comic, and his best friend, who I called my uncle, was a stand-up comedian as well. So I grew up around comics, and he was a really good storyteller. So I think I kind of just sort of integrated that into my personality through osmosis, I suppose.
The show you are performing right now, or will be performing at the Edinburgh it is the Fringe Festival. I'm going to get that right. An American comedy show that quite possibly might be funny to the British, which you're performing not in the UK. You damn fool. Kidding. Tell us about the show.
Yeah, I'm playing. So I'm doing. I have a feeling a bunch of. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's the Scots do not like being called British. They even though they are, like, by definition. Something that I'm learning about the UK is that the denotative definitions of things are like not. They like refuse to use them, and it's just a strange. I don't know if it's me because I'm clearly on the spectrum. At whatever point I'm at on the spectrum, I'm at the point where if somebody uses a word like incorrectly based on its like dictionary definition, it like really rubs me the wrong way.
Okay, no, wait, I have to stop you for 1 second because I'm going to tell you right now, having lived in London for the last 8-9 months, if you pronounce a word incorrectly, people will turn and scream at you. We called it Leicester because it's spelled, everybody, Leichester. And this old biddy turned around, 300 years old woman, turned around and screamed, "It's Leicester!"
Yeah.
It's Leicester.
On the tube, everyone, there's this lovely lady announcer on some of the Bakerloo lines and different lines you go on. On the Bakerloo line, or maybe it's a district line, she comes over to tell you that you're stopping in American. We would say American English, Sloane Square, Sloane, Sloane Square. And that bitch says, "Now arriving at Flem Square." I swear to God, it sounds like she's saying Flem Square. You will never unhear it now. And every time me and my husband stand on the train, and as soon as she goes to say it, we both go, Flem Square.
Flem Square.
But she's saying Sloane, but it doesn't sound anything like that. Okay, let's get back to it.
The line, Bakerloo line to Cockfosters. I think
Exactly.
Cockfosters is the greatest. It is the greatest. It's so funny. There is an actual stop called Cockfosters, and
It's the end of the line, my friend. It's the final stop, and
Listen.
You couldn't ask for a better final stop than Cockfosters.
That's amazing. So anyway, the British the Scots may not like the fact that I am saying British in the show, which is nuts because they're British by definition. According to the map, they're British. They're part of the United Kingdom on the island of Britannia, so they're British. Like it's so funny to me. Okay. Anyway, the show, an American comedy show that quite possibly might be funny to the British, is basically just me. I'll be honest, complaining about America for like almost an hour. So it's a lot of. I actually think it'll be very enjoyable to the Brits because it's British style. I've co-written it with Adele Cliff, who's a very good British joke writer. She wins Best Joke at the Fringe, not infrequently. She's very funny and is very good at helping me crank down. I did this as a challenge to myself to try to really get into joke writing. And also, to be honest, I just have a lot to complain about with the United States. I mean, like as an expatriate yourself, who's from here, I'm sure you see things that are going on and think like, this is completely bonkers. This is totally crazy. And I just want to go talk to people who they haven't, like, I can't talk about any of this stuff here in the United States. They're listening. You know what I mean? I can't complain. I have to go over and find an audience that might be receptive to go like, isn't this crazy? And then they're like, yeah, it is crazy. And I think I want to try to give a window to some people about American culture through that show. Because I think that America is actually a misunderstood country in many ways.
Now, let me ask you this. Why Edinburgh? Is it the Olympics for you of comedy? Is it the Olympics of performing? Has it been a dream to get there?
Oh, Steve Silverman.
Foolish Steve. I know the answer. Just continue. I treat my audience like they're morons. Now keep going.
It is comedy summer camp, man. It is the funnest time. If anybody's listening to this and you're like, oh, I've never been up to the Fringe. Like I've never, it's always on in August and I always think about going. You got to go. It's so much fun. It's a total blast. It's the most, I mean, as a performer, it's like the most stage time you can get in like one chunk. So it is just so fun to get up in front of different audiences every day, to make them laugh, to work out things in the show, to like if you go into the Fringe with a good show, you think like, yeah, you know what, I got this. I think it'll be good. By the end of that show, you will know, or the end of that run, you will know every single thing that works or doesn't work. You will have hammered out every single joke. It is such a great performance opportunity, and the people that you can connect with, both in terms of audiences and other performers, is just unrivaled. It is probably my favorite thing to do in the entire year, is go to Edinburgh and do the Fringe in August.
Brendon Lemon, where do people find you, follow you, and get more info?
Yeah, the best place to follow me is on TikTok or Instagram, which is at Brendon freaking Lemon. Brendon spelled with an O, Brendon. Freaking Lemon on Instagram and TikTok. Probably the easiest place to follow me. That's where I post most often.
As always, we end these shows with 2 questions for our guests. First question is, who inspires you?
Wow.
Oh boy, that's a good question.
So many people inspire me. It's like an unbelievable amount of people.
Easy answer is Darren Brown. He's a mentalist in the UK. He really pioneered a lot of what I do and what a lot of performers around the world do, quite honestly. He's just so singular and unique and original and such a powerful performer and has impacted me immensely. So absolutely Darren Brown.
You know what? For Fringe, I was really inspired. I went and watched this show called Del Valle about a man who he's like a soap opera star, and he ends up addicted to heroin and in prison in Del Valle, Texas. And he had a show on last year. And I just thought, this is perfect.
I have a 2-part answer to this question. I think the first one is my niece, Lena. I mean, both of my nieces inspire me, but I think the thing that I love about Lena is that she's only 6, right? Like she just turned 6. She just turned 7, pardon me. And she's so funny. And like Philippe Gallier always said, if you really want to understand comedy, you should watch children. And she's it's just effortless how totally comfortable she is with just like making a joke, being silly, being goofy. There's like no self-judgment whatsoever. It's like, I think this is funny, so I'm going to do it right now. And then just does it. I find that so inspiring. And I think that I would say the second thing though is also her mother is very funny, my sister. She's a graphic designer, very talented, works very hard at her chosen craft, which is not comedy, sadly. Or maybe better for me, because if she did, then I'd probably be out of a job. She would have eclipsed my career long ago.
I'm really inspired by Mindy Kaling. She's like always been someone in the industry who I really admire because she is so 100% herself and like has been from the jump. I remember reading her books when they first came out when I was in high school, being like, yeah, that's me. And the way that she has turned just herself, her style of writing, her incredible like acting skills even into a full career, and now she has a full production company and is just like living her truth with her family and being her, like I just love her. So she really inspires me, and it's my dream to like work on a show of hers sometime in the future. And then the other person who really inspires me is, she's no longer alive, but my yaya, my yaya, if you want to say it the Greek way. But I grew up Greek American, and she came from Greece when she was a girl. And she's just such a star and a badass. She was an actor and a model and just stinking beautiful, but so smart, did all this interior design and was just like the person who lit up the room. She had such a fierceness to her. And with her and my papu ended up being so successful as entrepreneurs in the pie and bakery business. And I just feel her spirit in me. My middle name is Nafsika, which is a Greek name. It was her name. And all of this like energy and go get them and why not me and trying to raise money and kind of do the impossible. I really feel her chutzpah and confidence and bravery in me. And she inspires me every day.
And we close the show with the final question in the form of a statement. All together now. Tell me something good.
Oh my gosh, tell me something good.
Yeah, what's something good?
Tell you something good.
There are so many things.
Dancing. Dancing is good. You can't have. I dare you to put on some music and dance around like a crazy little kid and not have the best time of your life.
Well, I think it's awesome that you do a podcast about things being good. That's a good thing. And it's going to be my birthday tomorrow. That's something good. And on my birthday, it's going to be 80 degrees. So I get to go see all of my friends, be super present, and then I get to have a birthday that's Lizzie Sunshine themed.
I think going for a good run. I'm a big runner. I just did a race the other day. There's a unique feeling after you finish a run. It could be a mile, it could be a marathon, but you're like, hey, I did something. It's very similar to the feeling of coming off stage. Something that was a little bit challenging, but you did it, and that feeling lingers with you afterwards. And like quite literally today, I'm very sore because I ran the other day, but it's a good sore because you earned it, you know? And I think that sometimes people shy away from doing things that are uncomfortable or hard, but in reality, that soreness or that tension or whatever it happens to be can stay with you in a good way to positively remind you of what happened. So I think doing something hard and accomplishing it, like going on a run, is a good thing for me.
You know what's really good? I went and saw the Daniel Radcliffe Broadway, and it's theoretically about suicide, but really it is about how beautiful it is to be human. And they give out this postcard of all of these things. This man, the whole play is about all of the things he wrote in his book. And the show gives you a postcard at the end, which is the last one that you all say together, which is like number 10,000, blah, 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 waking up in bed with someone you love. We have that in a kitchen, in our fridge. And every time I look at that, it makes me smile. And I think that individually is good, but it's in its package is so good. And making theater that we can take home with us is so good.
Thank you, Brendon, Kristina, Liz, and Max for sharing your good with us. And an extra good shout out to their publicist, my friend, Rosaline Hodgetts, for setting this all up. Next time on World Gone Good.
So many people are being told they can or can't be something, or they have to be a certain way or certain, carry themselves in a certain way. Why? What's the need? Why are we limiting people to what other people perceive them as?
We are staying in the theater world, but shifting gears over to the critic side with our good guest, Rhys Payne. This fine fellow has found his own passion through his entertainment reporting and in-depth reviews of plays and shows all across the UK. We talk about why we need to stay positive, how theater builds community, and why he prefers the title of reviewer as opposed to critic. I can't wait for you to hear part 2 of our Good Theater Times. I might just trademark that on our next all-new episode. Until then, be good.